Hi, my name is Piotr. I'm voice AI consultant, strategy advisor, and embedded technical partner. I help my clients build platforms that scale to 15 million calls per year and save them six figures. Today's topic is HIPAA with GDPR. I want to stress out that I'm not a lawyer. This will not be a video that will contain any legal advice. It will only be for entertainment purposes. Okay. We will have three main parts. One is beginning with legal aspects, what you have to remember, what is most important in terms of voice AI deployment. Second will be how the typical voice AI pipeline looks like and what are the core components and how HIPAA or GDPR affects these components. And last part will be useful tips from production, the things that worked for my clients and for different companies. It always differs from company to company, so stay tuned until the end. I think the easiest way to start thinking about both HIPAA and GDPR is to have some sort of structured information. So I prepared for you a markdown document in which I mention what is necessary in order to comply with both of these. So for both of them, it's a little bit similar. In case of HIPAA, you have PHI. In terms of GDPR, you have PII. It is personal information essentially. And in case of HIPAA, how it correlates to health. So like name, surname, and somebody's health condition, etc. You have to make sure that you are not storing this data on somebody else's servers, that you are the only one processing it, or the companies that process this information do not store it anywhere. This is super important. And the typical understanding of what's happening with the data comes into the BAA for the HIPAA and into DPA in terms of GDPR. For HIPAA, you have to make sure that you are storing the information inside the US. For GDPR, you have to make sure that you are storing the data in EU. So why does that matter? Latencies are different models are available. You need to ensure the correct configs everywhere, etc. It's super important information that you have to keep in the back of your mind. You also have to make sure that you use zero data retention policies across the whole voice AI pipeline. Okay, we've got the basics sorted. Let's take a look at all the components that will be useful to know and to master in terms of HIPAA and GDPR, and then we'll cover the voice AI pipeline. We'll be focusing on points from 0 to 6 and on points 8, 9, and 10. So without further ado, this is how the typical voice AI pipeline looks like. You have transport, you have telephony, VAD, voice activity detection, speech to text, LLM, and text to speech. This part is usually a loop. So whenever somebody says something, we convert that to a transcript with speech to text, then LLM processes it, generates text output, and text to speech tries to speak it out loud. And this is an ongoing loop. These are the most common components to voice AI pipeline. And it's usually orchestrated via some kind of framework like Pipecast, LiveKit, Retail, etc. So how does that correlate to HIPAA and GDPR? I'm glad you asked. So I drew this little arrow in here, which reflects OpenAI reduction model. It's 1 GB. It will help redact the PII or PHI. So for instance, if somebody said, hi, my name is Piotr. I would like to consult something with you, right? The output would be, hi, my name is redacted, blah, blah, blah. So this is where you could put a model to make sure that no PII leaks or PHI. You could also set up speech to text to ensure there are settings on DeepGram and on many other ones to additionally try to redact PII or PHI. You could also have additional background agent that somehow tweaks the logs, changes things that are inserted into database, and so on and so forth. You could have more guardrails in place. However, this is the most basic setup that ensures that you limit the surface of exposing important information. Now, important aspect to this is that in order to comply with both HIPAA and GDPR, what that means is you have to either own every single part of this pipeline, or you have to contract DPA or BAA for each of these. So what does that mean in practice? How do people do it? How can you optimize for it? This is a great question. And the answer is not necessarily straightforward. And why is that? Let me go to the next visualization. As with most things in engineering, everything is a trade-off. If you want low cost and low latency, you might not get as high performance as ideally possible. And before answering how to stay compliant with GDPR and HIPAA, ask yourself, what do I care about the most from business perspective? Is it trying to deploy an agent as fast as possible with as little development cost as possible? Or is it more of, I want to ensure that our solution will be as reliable as possible and we will have many controls, many guardrails, a lot of custom code, etc. So you need to understand your business use case before going into the next section. But now I'm happy to share the production tips and actual scenarios that my clients have had. And this will shed some more light into what you can actually do. You can use provider that solves all of the headaches for you. For instance, Telnix, LiveKit, HiPCat, Retail, etc. The way it works is they are the ones hosting the orchestration framework. They are the ones that have contracted SCT, LLM, TTS on their end, and you're just paying them for doing all of that work for you. It is typically a monthly subscription starting from $500 with a range of up to $3,000 on retail, I believe. So all providers have different offerings. You need to do your own research. These prices may also change. However, this is more or less how it looks like as of today. This is a wonderful option for everyone that needs legal compliance as soon as possible and knows that the complexity of the app won't grow exponentially over upcoming months. Wonderful. You have to keep in the back of your mind, though, that some companies don't have presence in EU, but have presence in the US. For instance, VAPI, which is strictly located in the US. Therefore, they cannot help you with GDPR. It is important to remember. Another tip is to try to contract on-premise deployments for LLM, SCT, or TTS. This can come in very handy for cost cutting as well as getting lower latency, and essentially ticking both the boxes on lower cost and high performance if your expected amount of calls is very big. So this is a very solid approach. And third tip is to try going into hybrid route. So perhaps self-hosting telephony or using a local provider. Third tip is to use hybrid approach where useful and possible. So sometimes it may mean that you are using AWS Bedrock, Azure OpenAI, Telnix for SCT, LLM, TTS, and you have these things sorted on your own. And then you may be doing all of the telephony on your side only. You are the only one processing the data here, and you're orchestrating everything via something like Pipecast or LiveKit. This happened in my case. We used our local telephony and we made a lot of savings that way, but it was cheap and very effective to use inference providers. Yet another approach is to do 100% on-device data handling. As of today, typically performance isn't good enough for most of the use cases. However, it can completely change in a year or so. So stay tuned for the updates in this space, I suppose. I hope you found this video useful. I also post blogs on each of the videos on my site, calloptima.com. Recently, I had a great chat with Olfir Samson about his learnings from making company that has been acquired by Greenhouse, and it's amazing. I also add TLDR on every blog post to make it easier to read, to make it more useful for you if you don't have a lot of time. I also have a newsletter so that you can stay in the loop without having to go to my site all the time. And I will add the markdown file that I presented at the very beginning to this blog post as well, so that you can read it, use it, copy it, however you prefer. I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, liked as well, why not? I want to thank every single one of my subscribers. I have over 50 after just 3 videos, which is absolutely crazy to me. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.